everyone to today's live class, Getting Started Optimizing Group Practice Management. In today's class, we'll be focusing on multi-provider practice management functionalities within Healthie. So we'll be covering topics such as adding team members and customizing their permissions, facilitating interaction across those team members, using the organization calendar, creating care teams, and more. There might be several topics that we touch on in today's live class that you might be interested in joining its own deep dive live class for. So I'd just like to make a note at the start of class that we do have several live classes, things like deep dive into calendar, packages and payments, and even a 3-part series of getting started on Healthie and best practices to optimize your use of the platform. So I definitely encourage everyone to take a look at those other live classes and join those if there is a specific topic that you want to spend a bit more time on. So let's go ahead and dive right in. We are going to start with setting up our organization information. So you'll notice in my portal here, I have this organization page on the left-hand side in my main menu. In order to create that and have that viewable in my menu here, I'll need to first set up my organization under the organization page on my little gear icon in the upper right-hand corner. So I'll click on that gear, select organization, and when you first do this, when you're getting started in your platform, it'll take you to this view here on the settings page. So you'll go ahead and name your organization, enter any relevant information here, and then click submit. And once you do that, you'll now have your organization page on the left-hand menu. When we click on organization, this takes us to our organization calendar. Here we can help manage appointments and availability and view calendars for all of our providers. Of course, having access to this would depend on the permissions that I have turned on for my user account. So when you're managing your multi-provider practice, you do have the option to restrict certain team members or providers from seeing all of the calendars of other team members. A quick overview of our organization calendar here. Of course, we have our left-hand side where we can toggle the date that we're viewing if we want to be viewing the calendar or availability. So if I select my availability view here, this will take me to the availability view where I can add availability not only for myself, but also for other providers. So again, if I want to add availability for provider C here, I could click right on the calendar or click add in the upper right-hand corner, and I can assist in managing and adding availability for that additional provider. I'll click back to our calendar view. One other item that I like to call out here, similar to the calendar page as well, are the filter options on the left-hand side. So you do have the option to filter down your calendar to see specific information, either on the organization calendar or your personal Healthie calendar, which would be under the calendar page. But I like to call out these items, especially because if I ever set these filters, these will not reset themselves if I leave this page and then come back to it. So if, for example, I set a couple of filters here, and then I click back to my home dashboard, and I come back to that organization calendar, these will still be applied. So if you're ever not seeing something, an appointment or a provider's calendar that you expect to be seeing on this page here, just make sure that you have these filters set back. You aren't filtered down to any specific provider if you need to be viewing all, things like that. So I mentioned quickly that you are able to add availability or manage availability for other providers through this page. You're also able to add or manage appointments for other providers. So if I ever wanted to schedule a session on behalf of another provider and one of their clients, I could do that through my organization calendar, and I could come in here and click either right on the calendar or again, the upper right-hand corner, I can select add, and I can select the client and the provider that I'll be scheduling this appointment for. Now, we're going to talk through how to add these providers and these additional team members in the first place. So in order to add team members, we will do that through the Members tab on this organization page. So again, I'm in Organization, and I am now going to Members. Here, I can add team members, I can update settings or information on my existing team members. And I can also filter this view if I prefer to. So you might notice that I have a couple of archived or inactive team members here. So if I just want to filter my team members based on status of active, I can also do it based on tags. If I apply any tags to my team members, I can go ahead and filter that and now just view all of my active team members. Again, we can add an organization member right here on this page. So we'll go ahead and walk through what that looks like. On Add Organization Member, I'll go ahead and select that. The first piece of information that we have to input is the type of team member or seat type that this member will be. We have two options here, standard and support. And keep in mind, there is a tooltip on this field. So if you ever forget the difference between these or need a refresher on what these seat types or these role types are, you can just hover over that question mark here. So in this case, a standard role can optionally be set as a provider. Providers can schedule appointments with clients and be associated with client payments. There is a fee for each standard provider that you add. So again, you can oftentimes think of standard seat members as providers. So this would be any team member that needs to schedule with clients or clients need to schedule with them. Standard seat members are the only ones that will have their own personal Healthie calendar. So that is to say, if I am a support team member, when I look on my left-hand menu, I will not have a calendar page. So support members, on the other hand, can do many of the same things within Healthie. They have a lot of the same permission options, but they will not be able to schedule themselves with clients, or clients will not be able to schedule with them. For each standard seat that you have added to your account, you will also have one additional support seat. So if I have 5 standard members on my team, then I will also have the ability to add up to 5 support team members. Support team members may be, for example, individuals that are handling scheduling, they may be billing assistants, things of that nature. So we'll go ahead and select the seat type that this user will be. We'll enter, of course, their name, first and last, their email, and then we have the option here to apply a permission template. So we'll walk through in a moment what those permission templates look like, how to create a new template, but keep in mind whether you apply a permission template right when you're adding them or you choose not to apply any template, you can always adjust their permissions down the road. So once we enter all of that information and click on Add Organization Member, they will be first added to our list here, and they will receive an email notification that they've been added, and that will invite them to set their password and set up their account. So coming back here to the main members view, you'll notice next to that Add Organization Member option is the option to create a permission template that we just mentioned briefly when adding them. So if we click on Create Permission Template, this will take us to a blank template where we can toggle on any permissions that we need to for this particular template. So in this case, we may be adding a template for, let's say, a billing assistant. We can select what type of account that might be. For this, I'll select support. Is the member an administrator of the organization? Again, you can reference the tooltip here on what that might mean if someone is an administrator. Generally, this is the highest level of organizational permissions, including the ability to view all billing details, change the organization's bank account info, add org members, things like that. And because this person is a support member, you will not be able to set them as a provider here. So again, if I toggle to standard, this individual could be a provider and it will actually default to being a provider because oftentimes they are. But you may have a case where a standard member is not a provider, and so you can select no. In this case, I'll just leave this person as an administrator in a support seat. Now, as we scroll down, you'll see that there are several different sections of permissions, and in each of those sections, there are various permissions that you can toggle on or off. So we won't walk through each and every individual one, but some to just highlight. The first one I like to highlight is the organization settings. So can they have organizational settings, things like generating organization reports? Maybe in this case, I definitely want them to generate payment reports, invoice reports. Can they view org member tasks or assign tasks? edit and remove members. Get that to disappear here for us. There we go. Edit and remove members in the organization, add team members, and have their own branding are all options here. Another important one is the client section. This will determine what types of clients that they have access to. And once they have access to them, keep in mind that they'll be able to see the information within that client's profile. Another important one here is the appointments and calendar. So under appointments and calendar, we have the option to view or access that organization calendar. So if I turn this off for this type of team member or for this individual, they will not have that organization page there. Whereas if I turn it on, I can then optionally toggle on some of these other items, whether they can edit and delete appointments for other org members and things like that. So since this is a billing assistant, I'm going to go ahead and deselect that access to the organization-wide calendar. But then there's a billing section that I may want to add a lot of those permissions for, if not all, and we'll go ahead and toggle those on as needed. Once my permissions are set how I would like, of course, again, there's many sections here, I'll go ahead and save these permissions. And now this is added. I did already have a previously built out template for billing assistant. You can see I have some for providers, care team members, general biller. And so now I could select this template when adding a team member to my organization. I mentioned before that you can always adjust these permissions down the road. So of course, whether I apply a template or not when adding someone, I can always adjust those permissions at any time. So let's say for provider C, I want to adjust their permissions. I can select the three dots all the way to the right of their name here, and I'll click on Edit Settings. First, we'll see that I can edit their basic information settings if needed, but I can also toggle to permissions, and here I'll see the same view that we were just seeing when building out that template. So if I need to toggle on or off an additional permission, maybe in this case, I want to now give this person access to that organization calendar, and I want them to be able to manage appointments on behalf of other org members a little bit more, I can go ahead and edit those and click on Save. And now those permissions are updated. Keep in mind the difference between user permissions and your general account settings. So the permissions that are set on a specific user account will, as described, apply specifically to that team member and their portal when they log in. Whereas if we go to our little gear icon in the upper right-hand corner and click on Settings, we have some organization-wide settings, things like appointment settings or appointment types. Another settings page here I actually do want to call out while we're on this page is the notification section. So this would be provider specific. Providers can come to this page and toggle on or off any of these notifications to customize what types of notifications they will be receiving. But again, a lot of these other items are global settings, and these are a bit different than the user-specific permissions that we were just walking through. So we'll go ahead and click all the way back now to our members page and talk through how we can view some additional information related to team members. So you'll notice when I went to Edit Settings, there's also an option to view records. So here I can click on View Records and I can see these specific items that are unique to this individual provider or team member. So if I want to view this provider's clients, I could go ahead and select their clients and I'll get a client list of clients that have them assigned to their account. I can also view their records for packages, payments, CMS 1500 forms, and super bills if I'm utilizing those. So again, this is a quick way to get a view of their account-specific information. I mentioned here having a provider assigned to a client account. So each client, if we click into our clients page, will have a main provider that is assigned to them. So let's click into this newest client. If I go to their Actions tab and then select Personal Information, you'll see that this client has myself assigned as their provider. I can come here at any time to adjust that provider if I want to. So if I want to move this client now to work primarily with provider C, I can do that. But I can also have additional care team members assigned to this client by utilizing this other care team member field. So this actually is another permission section on the permissions template, or an individual user's permission, that they can be added as a care team member. And so in this case, if I want both myself and provider C to work with this client, or the option to work with this client, then I could assign provider C as a care team member. And now they'll have access to the client's profile if I have their permissions set so that they only have the ability to see their own clients, then they would now be able to access this client. And again, I can come back in here at any time and manage their care team. I can also set their permissions so that clients can schedule with this care team member. And so now a client, if they were booking an appointment on their end, they could book an appointment with either myself or provider C. We'll make sure that those are saved. And we'll click back to our homepage. All right, so we talked through setting up our organization, adding team members to our organization, how to add those team members or manage them on a client's account, and of course, how to set permissions for each team member. Now we're going to dive into a few additional features that really help you optimize your management for a multi-provider practice. The first one that we're going to touch on is the tasks feature. So I clicked back to my dashboard here because here you can see I have an overview not only of my upcoming appointments for the day or the week, but also any tasks that are outstanding for me. So each provider, if you are utilizing tasks, will be able to come here and see what tasks have been assigned to me, what do I need to complete, even come down at the bottom here and see what have I completed, but they can really get an overview of what is upcoming for them. In order to assign a task to a provider, we'll go ahead and select this little checkbox-like icon at the top of our portal here. And you'll see that I have a quick overview again of my tasks, also any that I have assigned out. And if I click right on this top section to write a new task, I can go ahead and write a new task, again, either for myself or another provider. So let's say I need a provider to review intake forms for a client. I can go ahead and type in the description there and then assign which provider this is for. In this case, I'll assign this to provider C. And I can also associate a client with this task. This is helpful because the provider will get an email notification that includes the description of this task. And so if I don't want to include the client's name in that, I can instead tag the client here and let them know which client I'm referring to for this task. I can also go ahead and add a due date for this. So let's say I want them to review it by the 15th, and then maybe I want to add a reminder for them. If they haven't completed it, then I want them to get a reminder to complete this 2 days before it's due. And I'll go ahead and add that. I also have the option to click on the details button when I am viewing my little task pop up there. And this will take me to a more robust tasks page. And here I can view all of my tasks a little more clearly. I can also, if I have the permissions to do so, I can manage tasks for other team members. So if I wanted to mark this task as complete for my team member there, I could do that. I could go ahead and edit an existing task if I need to, or if needed, I can delete it altogether. And we also have some view options here to see what has been completed, what are my tasks, what have I assigned out, and get a quick overview for that. We do have the option to apply smart tasks as well. So if we go ahead and click into our settings, there is a settings page here titled tasks. And here you'll see the option to turn on the smart task of completing charting notes. So if we toggle this on, we have the option for a task to automatically be applied to a provider a certain number of hours or time after a session has been marked occurred to remind them to complete their charting notes. So maybe that looks like completely filling them in, signing them, and locking them. And then we can go ahead and save that and have that auto apply. Additional smart tasks are able to be built out via the enterprise plan. So if that is something of interest, definitely let our team know, and we would be happy to explore that option with you. The next feature I want to talk through in reference to utilizing it for group practice is the chat feature. So if we go into our chat page here, of course, even with a solo practitioner type of practice, you can utilize chat for communication between you and an individual client, you and a group of clients, send out message blasts, host community chats, things of that nature. So if I were to click on new, again, I have the option to do any of those items. Maybe I want to message all of my self-pay clients, either a message blast or community chat. I can do this here. Just a quick reminder, since we're on this topic, the difference between message blast and community chat. So our message blast feature would trigger individual conversations to be started with each of those clients that you send that message to. It's similar to BCCing people on an email. So they won't see who else received it. They won't see anyone's reply. It would only come directly back to you. Whereas community chat, you can sort of think of like a group text conversation where you can see who else is in that chat space. You can see their replies. And so those are just two different options with messaging multiple people or groups of clients. But again, we can use our chat feature here. And the reason we're visiting it right now is to really highlight the use of it to communicate across your team. So if I, instead of just messaging a client, want to utilize this to message an organization member, I can do that by finding that organization member under active, and I can select as many as I need to here. So I could, again, start a group chat, either a message blast or community chat with multiple team members. Maybe I need to remind everyone about a team training that we have going on, or I can directly message one team member. So I can go ahead and select that team member. Right now, I actually have, because I previously selected the self-pay client group, this is telling me right here that this chat would be with the self-pay client group and then provider B. So instead, I'm only going to select provider B and start a conversation with them. It will let you know if you have an existing conversation going on. So in this case, it's saying, hey, you have a conversation already started. Do you just want to continue messaging them there, or do you want to create a new conversation with them? In this case, I'll just use that existing one and click right into there. And I can send anything that I need to, and they can reply as needed. The next feature that I want to call out is under our documents page, and I want to talk through sharing resources across our team and with clients, but also with our other providers or organization members. So if we click into the documents section, we're going to see my documents library here. If I ever need to share any of these resources or files with other people in my organization, whether that is a client or that is a provider or team member, I can do that right through the three dots all the way to the right. So if I go ahead, maybe I want to share this recipes folder. Actually, let's see if it's already shared. It may be. So I'll click on the three dots here and I'll select share. Yeah, so we see that it's actually already shared with a lot of my clients. And my organization members. I probably added them and shared this with them at some point previously. I can, of course, this is a good time to call out that I can remove access from some of those individuals. So if I want to remove any clients from having that resource, or if I want to remove it from any organization member document section. So maybe I no longer want these organization members to receive it. I can go ahead and deselect all of them and save that. Now that they've let's walk through how to share it with them in the first place. So again, I'm going to go ahead and click share. And right now I'm sharing a folder with them, but I could do this on an individual resource as well. So if I wanted to do this just for this week 1 workouts PDF file, I still have that option as well to click on share. For the sake of our example, we'll go ahead and create a new folder. So I'll just title this my new folder, create. And now at the top here, we have this folder that we'll be able to share. So again, I'll click on share. And right now this is not shared with anyone. So it's really just showing in my account. But if I want to be able to have other providers or team members see this when they click onto their documents page, I'll go ahead and select them in this drop down here. So if I only want to share with a specific team member or a specific client or client group, then I would use this drop down. In this case, let's go ahead and, as we have been working with provider C, we'll go ahead and share this resource with provider C, and we'll save that. And so now my new folder is shared with that organization member, and they'll see that in their document section when they log in. There are some other options, kind of bulk share options down below that. So we can share this with all active clients. We can share it with new clients when they join, or we can share it with all of our organization members within my org. So if I just want to share this across my entire team and make sure that everyone has access to it, I can simply turn that last item on and click save. And now that is shared across my entire organization. You'll see when I click back in, all of my team members have been added for that document or for that resource. And I shared a folder with them, so if there were items within that folder, they would have access to that as well. And now, if some of those individuals are providers, they would be able to, if needed, share it with their client in a similar way. So if now provider C has access to that and they have a client that they want to share a specific resource within that folder, that they could share that with that specific client. Again, each client has their own document section. So if I were to share a document with a specific client or another provider were to do the same, then that would be found in the document section here through their profile. And again, I went to their profile, I went to charting, and I clicked into view documents. And that's been added to their documents section, whatever resources I have shared with them. All right, the last area of the platform that we are going to walk through is the reporting section. So I'm going to go ahead and click into reports. Here we have several pre-built reports that we can export from Healthie. So you'll see that we have appointment reports, which appointments actually has its own dashboard here as well. So I wouldn't even have to necessarily download the report to view a lot of that information. And I can filter some of this information as well to see breakdowns for just specific providers, specific statuses of appointments, and I can get a quick view of that information. But as with all of our other reports, so we have several billing reports, client reports, insurance reports, and then programs, we have a client status report. With all of those options, I'll be able to select download report in the upper right-hand corner. So if I were to, for example, want to pull a client list on my account, I could click into the client list page and click to download the report. Before I do that, I do have some filter options. So on client list in particular, I'm able to filter down the provider that is assigned as the main provider to that client. So in this case, maybe I just want to pull a report of my own clients. I can apply that filter, and then I can click download report. In some of those other reports, you'll see that that filter, of course, has the provider option, but also a time period option as well. So we saw when I downloaded report, this banner popped up of where my report will be generated. This will live, any of these reports that you pull will live in a folder titled Generated Reports in your Documents section. So I'll go ahead and dismiss this for now. But if that weren't to generate right away, I will get an email notification when my report is ready to be viewed. So I could go ahead and click in then. But in this case, I'll just click right back into my Documents section, and we'll see I have my folder here, Generated Reports. I'll make sure that that's filtered by date. So now right up here at the top, I can see that my report has already generated, both of the ones really that I generated, and I'll be able to download that CSV file. So I can click download here, or I can just click right on the name itself to download that. I, again, if ever needed, can share that. So if I perhaps pull the report myself, but I want to share it with a support team member who is managing my client list or needs this information in particular, I could go ahead and share it with them as needed. And as always, we have several options here of managing our documents and our files within our documents library. I definitely encourage you to play around with the reports section and see what different information is included in all of these different reports, because this can really give you a better idea of what's going on within your organization. For example, what types of appointments seem to be most popular. You can pull your client list and get an idea of what clients are scheduling with what providers, so compare client loads across your team. Of course, the billing reports will be important to get a comprehensive history of the payments that you're processing throughout Healthie, and much, much, much more. So worth playing around with those and getting an idea of what information that you're able to gather from those reports in order to optimize the success of your business and your organization. And of course, I just like to touch on, since we've been discussing documents and the reports and how those will generate in the documents library. This may have already been noted since we walked through how to share documents, but by default, these will not be necessarily sharing with any of your clients, and they will not, when they log into their portal, they won't see all of my documents here if they were to click on their own documents page. So I don't have to worry about, if I'm generating those reports, there's no issue of that they're automatically going to see any of this information. This can be kept completely internal, just for the business management of my organization. All right. Well, we are going to go ahead and stop there. As I mentioned, we have several more live classes that spend quite a bit more time on things like calendar. We have a telehealth and webinars live class. We have parts 1, 2, and 3 for getting set up with Healthie, optimizing client engagement on the platform, and just best practices all around for using Healthie. So I definitely recommend that you explore all of those other live classes, join those, ask questions live. And as always, if anything comes up, just reach out to our support team at hello@gethealthy.com, and we would be more than happy to answer any of your questions and assist you as needed. Thanks everyone for joining. Bye-bye.